Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, is now streaming on Netflix. And if you watched my review for the first movie of this franchise back in December, you know I actually kind of liked it. I certainly didn't love it, but I definitely liked it a lot more than most people did. Most people just absolutely hate that movie. But I found some things in it that I appreciated. And I was hoping, I talked about in the review, like, there's some good world building here. A lot of things are established that I think this is paving a way for a nice sequel, a nice part two. But now we have that part two, and yeah, it's not great. Some people are saying it's better than the first. Again, I kind of like the first, so I say the first one was better. I did not care for this movie at all. I found myself incredibly bored throughout. Um, you know what? Let's talk highlights. So, Zack Snyder's the director here. So, of course, action is fantastic. That's one of the best parts of this. And the visuals are great, cinematography, all that beautiful. That was one of my favorite parts of the first movie. And really just the style overall. Zack Snyder has a very specific style that he always has present in all of his films, and that is very present here in this movie. So all of that is great. But from a story perspective, from a writing perspective, it is not that good. One of the issues with the first movie is that they're introducing all these characters and we're spending so little time with each one individually. You don't really get to learn a lot about them. There's no real character development. And here they take small moments to try and develop our characters, to try and give us those emotional moments, but I just felt nothing. Like, there's one scene that's very incredibly forced where the whole squad is just sitting at a table and they're literally going around the table taking turns giving us their backstory, which, I mean, it's cool that they give us the backstory. Most of it I really didn't even care about. But it just felt so forced because Jimon Hansu's character literally sat down and he was like, all right, why don't we all go around and tell us about our past? Like, I don't know. It didn't make sense. Like I said, it's just, there's a lot going on in this movie, but they didn't give me a reason to care about any of it. So therefore, it felt very boring for the most part. Again, there's so many characters here that, I mean, they have their small moments, and again, there's attempts. There are very obvious attempts to make you feel things, to make you care about these characters, but it just didn't work. Like, I don't even know the names of any of these characters in this movie, man. And the lady with the kind of lightsaber swords, she is literally Katana from DC Comics, which I'll admit is probably a better adaptation of the character than what we saw in the 2016 Suicide Squad movie. But that's not a really hard bar to pass. I don't know, just all the characters here just seem really bland and kind of boring, and I don't know, my favorite character in the first movie, Jimmy, who was the robot, voiced by Anthony Hopkins, he's here again, and one of the things I talked about in that first movie was he was a prominent part in the first half of the movie, and then disappeared, and then you saw him for like one small appearance at the end of the movie. So I was really hoping like, oh, they're building him up to have a much bigger presence in this second film. No, he's barely in it. And it's crazy because that's one of the characters that is being used the most to promote the film, and merchandise especially. But there's just nothing going on with that character. And then at the end of the film, I mean, I don't think it's been announced or confirmed or anything, but it seems like they're setting up a third movie. And I don't know. I mean, the Rebel Moon has an idea. There's potential here. But just the execution so far is not there. It's very Star Wars, very, very Star Wars, but not as cool or as interesting or as fun as Star Wars. And the other biggest thing is these movies should be rated R. That's how Zack Snyder designed them. They are rated R movies, but Netflix was like, no, we want to recreate the Snyder Cut, so we're going to release PG-13 versions, and then this summer we'll release the rated R cuts. No. I wholeheartedly believe that these movies would be better if they were rated R. And there's so many obvious moments here where it's like, oh yeah, they cut this scene short, or oh they started this scene later so that it would be PG-13, or like oh they blurred this out, or whatever the case may be. There were obvious moments where it's like, yes, this movie should be rated R. So it's like, just give us the director's version first, especially when it's freaking Netflix. It's not like they're releasing in theaters where it needs to be PG-13 to get more ticket sales or whatever. It's on Netflix, guys. It doesn't make any sense. They're not recreating the Snyder Cut because people don't even like the PG-13 versions, people. And after the first part, I was intrigued to watch the rated R cuts. And again, I think the rated R versions will be better, but at the same time, I don't want to have to sit through this movie again, even if it's a better version. I don't know if you can get much. I don't think it even being rated R will save the movie. I mean, like, sure, add in some swearing and some violence and sexual stuff, like, great, but I don't think even that can save this franchise. And it's crazy because, like, when this was all announced, Netflix was really hyping it up. Oh, Zack Snyder, oh, we're starting a new franchise. It's going to be a big franchise at Netflix. First movie came out, everybody hated it. Second movie, not much better. In fact, in my opinion, worse. So yeah, I did not love Rebel Moon. I do not recommend it, especially if you watched the first part and you didn't care for it. Yeah. So anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver? Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I keep the day on everything that goes on in the movie life.